Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Manav. I'm the Chief Data Science Mentor at International School of AI and Data Science. This is episode 21st of Data Science and AI Weekly. If you have not subscribed to our channel, just subscribe to it immediately so that you receive notifications regarding the next podcast that is going to be uploaded. And this series is basically a conversation that we have with some of our top faculty, and a series in which I give you tips, inputs and advice to become successful in data science and AI world. So we have with us, like we have had for the last two episodes, one of our star faculty, Deepesh. And Deepesh, welcome back to this episode. Again, we have a lot of interesting questions for you for this episode.
Gladly. I love answering questions. All the students who have already been in my class know I love answering questions. Questions are the only way a faculty learns. So we welcome questions left, right, and center. So is this podcast. I'm loving answering questions.
Yeah. Some of the best data scientists that I have interacted with, and we have invited some of these top data scientists from around the world. For example, we had Dr. Kirk Borne, who is one of the world's most well-renowned data scientists. He has no formal education in data science. He has a PhD and he was working with NASA. Right, and he has not worked on data science per se, but what he had to say, it's all about what you just mentioned. It's about logic, A, it's about learning, B, and it's about knowing where to apply this logic and learning in real world context, C. The more creative you are, right, the more use cases you'll be able to think of.
Correct.
Right.
So in fact, continuing to that, I hope some of the audience here converts to the full-time students here. And when we start introduction to machine learning, the very front page, the one which I used to display, has a small machine and a very big. So throughout machine learning, all we are trying to see is how do we learn? If we can learn from that blood pressure data, or if we can learn from our experience, will a person default or not, is what we are trying to translate into an algorithm, a mathematical equation, and making a computer do the same thing. Basically, machine learning is like a person who is experienced for 40-50 years doing exactly one thing repeatedly again and again. And because none of us can do that, we're all human, we'll not be able to do one thing for our life. And hence we require a computer to learn in that manner.
Makes sense. So now let's talk about, so here you said, you described the characteristics of students that you think that you'll be successful, and you described that they practice regularly and they ask a lot of questions.
Think of machine learning in the daily life. So
daily
and that
lives.
reflects in the questions.
Right. Now let's talk about, do you see some patterns or characteristics in students that you know that they are not headed in the right direction and they might not be able to achieve the objective that they have of learning? So what are some of the common themes that you see?
Correct. So the person who usually doesn't revise tend to forget things. And hence that is the person who might want to repeat the basic terminologies all over again.
So you see students who don't do their homeworks and who don't revise, and again next in class they're asking, please revise everything for me.
Absolutely. So, well, to be honest, spoon feeding doesn't work in life. It won't work in data science environment as well. We'll have to invest some time, invest some energy in understanding. And once we understand things, it will be very rewarding. But nevertheless, we'll have to invest some time and energy.
And do you see that this is a challenge, that when students sign up for a structured program, they somehow think that that it is up to us? And do you see that sense of entitlement comes in, that's what the faculty is and we don't have to practice as much?
There are a few like that, but fortunately, all of us being working professionals, we understand that nothing is free. There is no free lunch. So we will not be able to just listen to somebody and learn. We'll have to practice. And I am very happy most of us already understand that. So this problem, although occurs, is not as big as it sounds in theory. So that's a positive sign.
That's good. Now, so let's talk about, since we are discussing about students who you think will be successful and what are the characteristics that they display. Let's talk about, if you can imagine one or two students out of the hundreds of students you have taught so far, what do you think that these students displayed, and were you able to spot that these are the students who are going to be really, really good? So tell us more about some of these. Tell us more about some of these students.
So data science has two parts in it. One part is machine learning that we have been talking about. The second part is domain. So translating the machine learning algorithm into their domain. The students, I think, are really good and they'll be probably successful later in life are the people who tend to ask questions from a domain perspective of data science. So they understand the algorithm first, they try to apply it, and then they simply ask, this might not work if I have that particular challenge in that particular domain. If somebody is able to come up with this kind of construction for a question, algorithm, domain, problem, these three things combined in one question, I think that person is thinking about data science correctly, and in all likelihood, he will be successful.
So what you're saying is just learning machine learning algorithms and thinking that this will solve all the problems is not the right. It has to be more thoughtfully driven approach.
Correct.
Right? That you need to.
Machine learning is not a silver bullet. It's not a magic wand. It won't happen. We'll just swing the wand around and voila, the problem is solved. It doesn't work like that. We have to think about the problem logically. Machine learning tells us how to think about it. Right. So all these algorithms that we have are structures to think about the problems.
All right. So this was the third episode with Deepesh that we have done. Deepesh, any parting tips that you have for students to become successful in that? What I'll do is, instead of doing it here, we'll possibly do another episode to do that, because the episode has already gotten pretty long. So this was episode 21st of Data Science and AI Weekly. My name is Manav. I'm in conversation with Deepesh. This is the third episode that we are doing with him, and he has already shared tons of insights. If this was the first episode that you have been listening to, just tune in to the playlist that the link is in the description, and we'll be back with the last episode in the series with Deepesh in episode 22. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to this podcast. This is Data Science and AI Weekly episode number 21st. My name is Manav and I'm signing off. Thank you.